Now, once you've made your measurements from your experiment, you're going to need to open up a new Excel spreadsheet. And you want to make sure that you're actually using the desktop app version, not the web version, which is, as I've got open here in Google Chrome. I'm going to go to the desktop app version. Okay. And then you're going to type in your numbers from your experiment. And we should give them labels, and we should give them borders to make this neater. So this first column here was the number of bulbs. So I'm going to call that bulbs, and I'm going to give it a symbol. I'm going to give it the symbol B. And these ones here, these are all measurements of voltage. And just note, when I type in the number, the voltage here, I don't put V after it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the unit V in the heading of the table instead. So I'm going to write voltage, symbol V. I'm going to give it a unit of V. And down below, well, we measured the voltage 4 times, so I'm going to call this first lot of measurements trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, trial 4. Now, since we've got 4 trials, we're also going to find the average of those 4 trials. So I'm going to type in a column here that says average. And since all of these are voltages, I'm going to just I'm going to merge and center that title so it covers all of these columns. Merge and center, and then put a border, so all borders. Now for the averages, you can calculate these averages in your calculator. So it would be these 4 numbers added together, divided by 4. Or you can get Excel to calculate the average for you. And you can do it this way. If you click on this cell here, press equals, start typing in an average, and you'll see this function here pop up. I'm going to double click that. Then I'm going to drag over the cells that I want to average. So I want to average these 4 cells. So I've dragged over them. Then I need to close that bracket there. So Shift 0 to close the bracket, enter. And that number there is the average of these. And then what I can do is I can just copy that formula down. One way of copying it down is there's a little green box in the bottom right hand corner there. If I just click on that, drag it down, it finds the average of each of those lines. Next step, we're ready to create our graph, and it's going to be a graph of voltage versus bulbs. So I'm going to drag over bulbs. Then you've got to decide which set of voltages am I going to graph. Well, one that we're going to choose to graph is the average voltage. So I'm going to hold down the control button and drag over that column as well. So these are the 2 sets of numbers that are going to be in your graph. If you don't hold down control, when you drag over something, you lose the previous drags. So drag over that, hold down control, and I get this second column as well. I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to click on Recommended Charts. And I'm going to choose this bar graph here, this option, clustered column graph, and click OK. I'm going to move that chart there. Give it a title. Well, it's the voltage of bulb against number of bulbs. And I'm going to click on the plus here and click on axis titles. And I'm going to title each axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is the number of bulbs. I decided that I was going to use the symbol of B for the number of bulbs. So I'll type in B. And these measurements here, those are the voltages. So I'm going to type in voltage, symbol V, and it is in units of V as well. Next step, I want to add a line to join up all of these columns. So you can click trendline that way, but the way I find better is if you click on any one of these bars and click Add Trendline. This little menu here on the right hand side is going to pop up. You've got to decide which fits best out of linear graph. So that line there is what we call a linear relationship, or power. Power relationship will be like a curved relationship. In this case, well, that linear relationship doesn't really look like a great fit. The power does. Right? So for this one, I'm going to go for the power. In the final assessment, in the summative assessment, the result should be a linear graph. For this assessment, we're going to go for power. And I am going to click Display Equation on Chart. And you see that little equation there. I'm going to drag it somewhere where I can see it. Drag it there. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because it's quite small. And that's it for your graph. Now the last step I'm going to show you here is what to do with this formula. If you drag across that formula there, I'm going to make a copy of this formula. Right? So I'm going to press Control-C to make a copy. I'm going to enter in a couple of lines. I'm going to paste the copy of my formula. I'm going to make a copy of the formula there. And I'm going to change it a little bit. So at the moment, it's an XY equation. But we don't actually want an XY equation. We want an equation that has voltage and number of bulbs in it. So Y on a graph, Y represents what's on the vertical axis. So in this graph, Y represents V, the voltage. So I'm going to replace the Y with a V, capital V for voltage. And X represents E, the number of bulbs. So I'm going to replace the X with a E. And this number here, it's negative 0.999. That is very, very close to negative 1, and that's actually what it should be. This number should be negative 1. So I'm going to round that to negative 1. And that is our equation. This is the mathematical relationship between the voltage and the number of bulbs. Now, another way of writing this, it might make a little bit more sense to you, is something to the power of negative 1 is actually the same as dividing. So, in this case, the voltage here is going to be equal to 11.535 divided by the number of bulbs. So we can test that out. If we had, by putting in, say, a number of bulbs. So let's test it out. If we had 2 bulbs, what would the voltage be? Well, 11.535 divided by 2, voltage would be 5.7675. Now, does that match our numbers? Well, 2 bulbs gives us about, in this case, 5.74. So yes, it is a very close match to what we got. What would happen in this equation if we had 100 bulbs? Well, it would be 11.535 divided by 100. So if I divide it by 100, voltage of each bulb would be 0.11535.